Greetings, my friends. It's probably been about a year, maybe 6 months, since we did a non-Blood Angels video, but towards the end of every edition, I find myself being drawn to a Primarch, or being drawn to another chapter. So it's not like this is the first time I've ever covered it, but today, I've actually been wanting to talk about Stormlance. I need help, maybe? I'm building a Stormlance list to go to GT in August, first week of August, and I actually have a couple of interesting thoughts on this, but the main reason behind this is, one, I wanted to do a change after doing, I think I did 6 months of Angelic Inheritors, I did 6 months of Liberator Assault Group, I've done 6 months of Sons of Sanguinius. That was the last time I won a GT, by the way, so if you know the rule, you have to take a shot. And then I did 6 months of Gladius, so I've done 6 months of 4 different detachments this edition. I wanted to do Iron Storm or Stormlance next, so I've been doing a bit of Stormlance. I'm going to talk to you about my list. I'm open to suggestions, but this list is now 3 games, and it is a 100% win rate. It's beat Miles, it's beat Colin, it's beat Andrew, so that's Genestealer Cults, World Eaters, and Death Guard. And I have been having a hell of a time since the new World Eaters Codex came out against World Eaters, and also, I think my win rate against the new Death Guard Codex is like tragic. I think I've played it 6 times, I think I've won once. So my Blood Angels are really struggling into Death Guard. So I think this list has some legs. Let's talk about it. Maybe you learn something. And maybe it lets you use... I mean, one of the reasons I'm doing this is to use a bunch of models that normally just don't see competitive play in Blood Angels, or are really not that strong in Blood Angels. So that's why I'm doing Stormlance. So let's dive in and talk a little bit about Stormlance army lists. Spoiler, there's no live show tonight, obviously, because this is a pre-recorded video. So thanks so much for being here. I've been trying to make lighting in the room blue. It hasn't really worked out. It's gone like a weird shade of purple because of the daylight. But I tried to make it blue to pay some homage to the Ultramarines. So we're calling this the Red Marines list. First up, we have Chief Librarian Tigurius. It's 75 points. He is... Well, you should probably just start by saying, because it's Ultramarines, my Oath of Moment also gets +1 to wound. So remember that. I'm going to have +1 to wound on a lot... Well, I've got it in everything that has Oath of Moment. And remember, when we get to Guilliman, we're basically going to get 2 Oaths of Moment per turn. So we start with Tigurius. He has pretty interesting staff, right? For ranged, 2d6 hazardous, 622. I think 622 hitting on 2s is great. It's a lot better than Mephiston's Smite, I would say, because Mephiston's Smite is sustained 6. I think on average this is probably just... It's not sustained 6, sorry. It's sustained. You get sustained hits on a Smite on 6s. I think this is just a better Smite. 2d6 on hazardous. I think I'm pretty much always hazardousing it. And his staff in melee isn't too bad either. 5 attacks, 7, 2d3. It's fine. He's not really supposed to be in melee. He's got 2 pretty cool abilities. One is the unit gets a 4-up against psychic attacks and mortal wounds. I mean, that's handy to have. And then the second is, while he's leading a unit, each time attack targets this unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll. So -1 to hit all the time. In addition, once per battle round, you can use one of these target stratagems for 0 CP. So this is not reduce the cost, this is just use it for 0 CP. So you can counter-offensive, you can fire Overwatch, you can go to ground, and you can go and heroically intervene. So I'm using him as part of a shooting unit. Pretty much whenever I'm targeted, I'm going to be -1 to hit, and I'm going to go to ground, so I've got cover and then bun save, right? He leads, in this case I'm leading Stern Guard, and he's 75 points. I actually think he's pretty cheap in terms of what he brings for 75 points. I think he's like something a bit like a lieutenant, but with a bit more survivability. Yeah, I think he's cool. Next up, I actually do have a lieutenant. So this lieutenant is going to be attached to the Hellblasters. My version of this lieutenant has like a mastercrafted bolt rifle and so mastercrafted bolt rifle, and I'm arming him with a power fist, because why would you not have the power fist? Just to do some damage when you need to get into melee. His abilities obviously are lethal hits. So weapons equipped in the model have lethal hits, and we're able to declare... we're able to shoot and declare a charge in a turn which fell back. Well, my Hellblasters can't shoot their blasting guns in melee, so they're always going to want to fall back. So this is why he's here. You could do this similarly by attaching a Librarian, but I have attached the Lieutenant, fall back and shoot. I think lethal hits with the Hellblasters is good because you get a lot of shots, right? He can attach Hellblasters, that's obviously what we're doing. He's pretty cheap at 65 points. And for my list here, I actually gave an enhancement because I had some extra points. So we can reroll advances on this unit. I mean, it's not a big deal. I barely even use it. The other option, like I said, is you could take the Lieutenant for the 4-up invuln save. And then that would give you... you could then take the Fainting Withdrawal, which is basically what you need, which is shoot in a turn which you fell back. Because you wouldn't have the Lieutenant buff. So either way, a Librarian would give them a 4-up invuln, Lieutenant gives them lethal hits. I like going lethal hits, it makes them very alpha strike, right? You can do a lot of damage. Here's the thing, Hellblasters are going to get targeted and killed very quickly. So I think just go lethal hits, use their alpha strike. That's what I'm doing. I've got Lieutenant with Combi Weapon. He lets me do that reroll of pick one objective, reroll once to wound. Useful, right? He also has a reactive move, so if anyone tries to lock him down, you can try and move away from them. I think we all know if we play Blood Angels what he does. He's got 70 points, he's got that 5-up Feel No Pain, he's got 4 wounds. He does have a gun with 2 shots devastating wounds, rapid fire. Well, rapid fire if you're within 12, 2 shots at devastating wounds, anti-infantry 4-up. So he can do something. It's not great, it's not horrible. The cool thing about him, though, is he is lone operative. And if he hangs out next to Guilliman, Ultramarine's Bodyguard is in effect. So while this model is within 3 inches of one or more friendly Adeptus Astartes infantry, and obviously that lone operative we just looked at is infantry, then Guilliman essentially becomes lone op. So we have Guilliman, who is toughness 9, 10 wounds, 2-up, 4-up, movement 8, and he's got his 4-up invuln. His range weapon is fine, it's like going to probably be 4 shots, 2-2, strength 6, not too bad. His melee is very good. So he can have 14 with devastating wounds, strength 8 minus 3, 2. Or he can have 7 with lethal hits, strength 14 minus 4, 4. That flat 4 damage is really nice. 3 failed saves from his 7 attacks hitting on 2s with lethals at strength 14, and he could hit the Oath of Moment target as well for +1 to wound and reroll hits. Like, I've seen like 3 failed saves at flat 12 damage. Like, it is very strong, and the devastating wounds with 14 attacks, you're always rolling a few 6s. Except this week, actually, didn't manage to roll any 6s. But for the most part, you're always rolling 6s, and I've actually seen this like pop off and do 10 devastating wounds. So, yeah, his melee is very, very good. He can't be targeted in shooting phase. You pick 2 Author of the Codex abilities. So we pick 2, and for the avoidance of doubt, we're probably going to pick the 2 the same every single game. And then Armor of Fate. When he dies on a 3-up, he's coming back to life with 6 wounds at the end of the phase. So when he comes back to life, he's basically coming back with 3/4 of his health, or 6/10 of his health, excuse me. That's right. He's got 10 wounds? Yeah, 6/10 of his health. I mean, that's pretty good. So realistically, he has 16 wounds, but you've got to kill him twice over 2 phases. He's really not bad. So the Primarch abilities, I usually take Master of Battle. That lets me do 2 Oath of Moment targets. You have to kill your first Oath of Moment target before the second one is active. So that's notable. But I think in this list, I have so much shooting and so much Alpha Strike, I'm literally always killing my Oath of Moment target. I think the only time I didn't kill my Oath of Moment target was when Mortarion used his -1 damage strat on him, and I still got him bracketed down to like 4 wounds, right? So if he hadn't used -1 damage, he would have been dead, and Mortarion with only 4 wounds left. Like, it was basically, because he was oathed, if he was going to move, I was going to overwatch him and kill him anyway, right? He also is the Supreme Strategist. Once per battle round, 1 unit from your army within 12 can reduce the CP cost by 1. So if I keep a couple of useful units around him that need to do stratagems, or himself, we're going to basically be able to do stratagems for free. So he's essentially giving me 5 extra command points per game. In the odd situation where you might need some more OC, you can actually get more OC, but I don't usually pick Primarch of the 13th, right? What's interesting, though, is he is 4 OC. So he will contest objectives by himself, just because he's probably going to do a lot of killing with his 14 sword attacks at devastating wounds. What's funny is Guilliman actually gets more attacks than 3 Sangre Guard, because they only get 12. And they only do 8, 3, 2, and they don't have any devastating wounds. So he's basically the equivalent, his melee is the equivalent of 3 Sangre Guard and then some, and he's giving you Oath of the Moment, and he's super tanky, and he gives back to life, and he's reducing stratagem costs. I mean, he must be your warlord, and he's going to cost 320 points, but every game I've played him in, I feel like he gets pretty good value, and his shooting isn't to be discounted either, right? Because I'm playing Stormlance, and I haven't mentioned Stormlance up until now, the one thing about Stormlance is your rules in Stormlance are your whole army gets fallback and shoot, and advance and charge, right? So, it's not fallback and shoot, it's fallback and charge, excuse me, Stormlance. Let's bring it up. Stormlance. While your army are eligible to declare a charge in a turn which they advanced or fell back. Yes, correct. So the reason we have to take the lieutenant or the librarian with the enhancement is so we can fall back and shoot, right? But everyone can fall back and charge. Cool. So Guilliman, I think one of the reasons I really like him in this attachment is the advance and charge. Remember now, Primarchs can move through ruins. They don't have to walk around them, even though they're a giant model. For whatever reason, they move through it. So if I have him 1 inch from a wall, he's moving out 8, he is advancing d6, and then charging 2d6. And I can reroll my charge as well if I use his author ability, or whatever it was called, Supreme Strategist, to reduce the CB cost to 1. So basically, I could reroll my advance for free, or I could reroll my charge for free. And I mean, his gun is fine, but like, if it's the difference between him making the charge or not making the charge, I'll take the advance all day long. And I really like him in Stormlance because I feel like he is fast in Stormlance, and he can jump out and he can do an awful lot of damage. So I then have 2 Tech Marines, right? There's no, like, Tech Marines are Tech Marines, right? They give vehicles +1 to hit, they repair vehicles for D3. When a vehicle dies near them, you get a bunch of extra attacks. Like, I think I actually forgot to include all the extra attacks when I played this week. I won the game anyway, but it's worth noting. Battle Line, I have nothing. Dedicated Transports, I have nothing. Other data sheets. So we should probably start with the big dog, right? That would be the Stormraven Gunship. And normally I would say a Stormraven Gunship is not survivable and you should not take it. Toughness 10, 3 up save, 14 wounds is not so survivable. However, in Stormlance Task Force, we have this stratagem. Ride hard, ride fast. In your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy has selected its target, 1 Adeptus Astartes flying vehicle from your army until the end of the phase. Each time it's the end of the phase, none of this Armor of Contempt single activation bullshit. It's just till the end of the phase, subtract 1 from the hit roll, subtract 1 from the wound roll. So the Stormraven suddenly becomes better than a Land Raider. And the reason it's better than a Land Raider is, like, -1 to hit is the equivalent of popping smoke, right? -1 to wound, right? Let's say you play against Vindicator tanks. They wound Land Raiders on 3s. Let's say you play against Gladiator Lancers. They wound Land Raiders on 3s. -1 to wound on toughness 10 means even strength 14, strength 15, strength 16, all the way up to, I guess, strength 19. You're only wounding on 4s. I mean, there isn't that many strength 19 guns, but that's my point, right? Like, you are generally struggling to wound this thing, unlike plasma guns are wounding it on 6s, right? Because plasma guns wouldn't normally wound it on 5s, they're wounding on 6s. With -1 to hit, and then when the damage does come in, we're actually -1 damage as well, because that's the armored resilience rule of Stormraven. So assuming that you have command points to spare, to ride hard, ride fast, then this, I think, is actually crazy tanky. It is super expensive, 200 points, and I have lost it in a few of the games, but like every game that I've played it in, my opponents have thought they could drop it in like 1 turn, put every gun they've got into it, and it's lived, and then I've got 2 Tech Marines, so one's starting next to it and one's inside it, so I'm always repairing it, and it's super hard to drop it in a single turn. Maybe like Knights could drop it in a single turn, but then I'll be cagey and I'll hide it, right? It's got some range weapons that are... The Hurricane Bolters are actually really good in Ultramarines, because we can get 24 shots at 12 inches. We're twin linked with +1 to wound. So I've seen this thing do like 15 wounds to a toughness 10 vehicle, because you've got 24 hits, You're hitting on 2s because the Tech Marine gave me +1 to hit. You're re-rolling everything, so you're probably making about 20 plus hits. You're wounding on 5s, re-rolling everything. That's a 55% chance to wound. If you made 20 hits, then that would equate to 11 wound rolls. So you're making 11 wounds statistically from 20 bolter shots. This is actually 24. So potentially, like I said, like 15 wounds from the bolters into a toughness 10 vehicle is not unheard of. Yes, a toughness 10 vehicle like a plasma, a predator tank or something will save on 3s, but if you're going to take 15 saves, you are failing some of those, right? You are going to do 5 chip damage statistically from the fucking bolters, right? There's a swear. That's how good this is. It's time to start swearing in my video. You also have 2 Storm Strike missile launchers. Again, we're probably going to shoot our Oath of Moment target, so we're probably re-rolling all hits, hitting on 2s. We're probably +1 to wound, so at worst case we're wounding on 4s, maybe anything less than T10, we're wounding on 2s. They're flat 3 damage, not too bad. The multi-melters, which I've been taking, are actually really good in this detachment as well, because multi-melters normally pretty bad, right? Normally wounding on 5s, re-rolling. Well, +1 to wound from the Oath, wounding on 4s, re-rolling. Hitting on 2s, that means statistically you're probably making probably making both hits with the multi-melters, and then one of them is going to wound, because each wound roll, even wounding on 4s, each wound roll has a 75% chance. So I've actually been doing and I've been flying close as well. I've been doing 8 damage multiple times with this damn multi-melter. I have a single twin las cannon. You know what a single las cannon does. Sometimes it goes through, sometimes it doesn't. The Stormraven does have OC 0, but I did say there is one of those abilities you can pick for Guilliman. If you don't need the extra CP, if you're flush on CP, you could actually choose the ability that would give it 1 OC, and then it could actually do an action or something like that. The Stormraven can carry 12 infantry, so in my case it's going to carry 10 Hellblasters, plus the Lieutenant, and a Tech Marine. So the Lieutenant and the Hellblasters are together, the Tech Marine is separate. My idea is that the second the Stormraven moves, like the second it goes aggressive, the Tech Marine will disembark right behind it. The idea being that like it's super hard to kill. And then even if they put a lot into it, let's say they profile it. Let's like this week, my opponent took it down to like 6 wounds. Cool. It's not quite profiled, but maybe if he took it at 4, it would have been profiled. The Tech Marine will give it +1 to hit to get back to hitting on 3s, and or repair it back into the higher bracket. So. And the Tech Marine will do actions, right? Like, there's nothing to say he cannot repair and then do an action, right? Like, that's fine. So, 2 Tech Marines. One starting next to the Stormraven, one inside. So, the Stormraven Gunship, we just talked about 10 Hellblasters inside. Hellblasters are super good in this detachment, right? So, we're giving them... They've all got the plasmas. We're overcharging all of them all of the time. So, we get 20 plasma shots. In the Stormlance detachment... and somebody said when I made this list, they were like, oh, you've just copied John Lennon's Stormlance list. I don't think I have, because apparently there is some differences between my list and his list. And I actually saw one of the best Scottish players has got a slightly different Stormlance list. That looks pretty cool. Maybe we'll cover that if people are interested in this video. But mine is more infantry heavy. I think those lists also had Ballistus Dreadnoughts, and they also had the new Storm Speeders, the flying ones, because they can also use the Ride Hard, Ride Fast strat. And you can do cool things with that as well. Get more ways to +1 to wound, strip cover, all this sort of good stuff, add AP. So I think that could be cool as well, and I guess that has been doing well. I've seen it do 4 in 1 just this week past at a tournament. But the other thing is it's the Blitzing Fusillade. So you use this in your shooting phase. From an on adept to start his unit, and basically if the unit doesn't have an assault weapon, it gets the assault keyword. If it already has assault, then it gets sustained 1. So the cool thing about this is I could give Guilliman's pistol assault if I needed it. I could give Tigurius assault if I needed it. But I can also give those 10 Hellblasters sustained 1. So I mean that's kind of what we're doing. We're taking the 10 Hellblasters, we're moving the Stormraven forward, we're disembarking. I was joking the other day that I have had those Hellblasters were one of the first models I picked up when I came back to Warhammer 40,000 at the start of 8th edition, which is like 7 or 8, it's actually 8 years ago. So I came back 8 years ago. One of the first boxes I picked up was the Dark Imperium box set. That's the box set that really got me back into playing Warhammer seriously every week. And that had 10 Hellblasters in it. So I've had those Hellblasters for 8 years. I've run them once in Blood Angels. They're garbage. Maybe someone is running them in Jellic Inheritors with a character to get the reroll ones. Maybe they're not total garbage, but in this detachment, they are bonkers, right? Because we are going to have 20 shots with Assault, which makes them sustained 1. We're going to reroll all our hits. We've got lethal hits. We're getting +1 to wound. So it's like, I mean, statistically, with 20 shots, rerolling all hits, you should probably end up with something in the region of 24 or 25 hits. So that is 25 hits, some of which will be lethals. Probably like 6 will be lethals. So we've got 18 wound rolls. So statistically, the enemy's going to take 15 saves at AP 3. If they're toughness 10 vehicle, it's going to be like 15 saves at AP 3, flat 2 damage. So, I mean, that is going to do work on its own. Let's say they got a 4-up in Vun save, so they just half it. I mean, that's still going to do like 16 damage, right? The lieutenant that's leading them can still shoot his mastercrafted gun with like reroll hits, +1 to wound. And they're in the Stormraven, so the Stormraven's probably going to shoot that same target with Oath again. We already talked about how good the Stormraven is with +1 to wound and reroll hits. So it's just like, that is a crazy alpha strike. That has just been decimating anything and everything I've been targeting at. And here is the kicker. Once I've shot the whole unit, I then need to roll 10 hazardous rolls because I've overcharged them all. And Hellblasters, when they die, and every one on the hazardous, so statistically I'm rolling like 2 or 3 ones when all 10 shoot. On a 3-up, the guys get to shoot again, right? And this is the cool thing about this as well. This is a different activation, right? So like if I shoot my whole Hellblaster unit into an Oath of Moment target and obliterate it with the Stormraven, because that's what's been happening, when the 2 Hellblasters die, assuming I can roll a couple of 3-ups, those 2 guys can shoot now. They can choose to shoot anything they want. They just shoot, right? So they still have lethal hits. They actually still have the sustained hits because that lasts till the end of the phase, like the stratagem says. Blitzing, fuselage, weapons. Where's it? Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons. Oh, it hasn't loaded. Hold on. Yeah, there it is. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped with a model. Right. So they still have their sustained. They still have their lethals. They're gonna get to shoot again, right? So they shoot on a 3-up, and they could go into the second Oath of Moment target for more +1 to wound, or they could just pop off something else. And the other cool thing about this is, like, if your opponent is killing them in his shooting phase, because that happens, you can instantly shoot back at, like, the next unit that's going to shoot you, for example. You know, like, he was killing me with, like, one of the Death Guard games, I was getting shot with, like, Death Guard vehicles and stuff like that. And I knew he was going to shoot me with a unit of Plague Marines next. So as he started killing me with his vehicles, I'm like, oh, those 2 guys are going to shoot on death. They're going to shoot the Plague Marines, lethal hits. And they're actually going to, like, so in his phase, I'm actually shooting. I'm not overwatching, so I'm doing my normal hit rolls. I can shoot an Oath of Moment target because there might be an Oath of Moment target available because you set 2. And once the first one is dead, the other one activates, right? So this is a super good unit. Like, I have been having a lot of fun with the Hellblasters. They were MVP for me this week against the Death Guard. Super handy. And then here's the kicker. Inside the Stormraven, just to add a little bit to the madness, we have a Brutalis Dreadnought. Brutalis Dreadnought's getting no play, right? I mean, I feel like I have one in Blood Angels. I think I've used it one time. I thought it was meh, right? Because the problem with the Brutalis Dreadnought is how do you deliver it? Well, in this detachment, I literally have a Stormraven delivering it to the middle of the board. It doesn't pop out with the Hellblasters. It's waiting, right? And then it will come out the turn after that they've either failed to kill the flying thing, the Stormraven, and when it comes out, it can use its ability on the charge to do up to 6 mortal wounds. That can be comboed with Tank Shock to do up to another 6 mortal wounds. When it comes out, it disembarks next to the Stormraven base, and then it's got an 8-inch move, so it can go just about anywhere. And then it's got those pretty useful, like I said, the multi-meltas are actually very good with +1 to wound and reroll hits. So you're moving close to enemies, because you're already halfway up the board. You're shooting off those multi-meltas, then you're making almost guaranteed charges with a good number of mortal wounds before you have even swung your claws, right? And I mean, your claws are fine. Twin linked, 12 minus 2, 3. You can do a sweep if you want, you know. The claws have been okay. I must admit they haven't been the greatest, but the other cool thing about this Dreadnought is it's another one that could advance and charge, and it could advance and shoot its melta-guns if you use the stratagem on it. So, what else we got? We've got a unit of Assault Centurions. The Assault Centurions are slow. Start them on the board. Advance behind the Stormraven. In a turn where there's an opportunity, they could embark the Stormraven. Or in a game where you feel like you might need them to come in from a rapid ingress position, we can bring them in. Centurions, they've got great melee weapons. Really good ability into monsters and vehicles. Again, they can get +1 to hit and reroll everything because of the double oath. Sorry, not +1 to hit. They can get rerolls, hit, +1 to wound. +1 to wound with Twin Link does very good. Flat 3 damage, very good. Sustain 2 against monsters, vehicles, and fortifications. What do Blood Angels struggle with? Probably monsters and vehicles, right? So, I actually think these guys are great in Liberator Assault Group. Like, you could just run these guys flat out in Liberator Assault Group with 4 attacks per guy, strength 12, -2, 3, Twin Linked. The issue always is, how do you deliver them, right? And the goal in this detachment is you have advance and charge all the time. So that helps. Like, I don't feel too bad about giving up their flamers. They've got a bunch of strength 4 flamers, twin linked. They've got a bunch of bolters, strength 4, twin linked. If it's the difference between you making the charge or not, I would give up that firepower to make the charge. And I mean, they're a little bit durable. Toughness 7, OC 2, 4 wounds per model, 2 up save. They're not too bad. Another cool thing is they do get a reactive move in this detachment, right? Because they're infantry. And in this detachment we have Wind Swift Evasion. In your opponent's phase, just after an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, or fallback move, one infantry unit from your army can make a normal move of up to 6 inches. So Centurions only move 4, so you can only move 4 with Wind Swift on these guys. But it does mean if your opponent comes close to them, they are potentially able to move. If they're hanging out near the transport, that means they could jump back inside. Or if the enemy are trying to get a charge on them, they could move away, you know, or they could move out, right? And then open up an Overwatch potential with their flamers. Like, it feels like you can do a lot with the Centurions, but advance and charge is like their biggest weakness is they move fucking 4 inches, right? So this helps them no end, right? I've got a unit of Outriders. Outriders with advance and charge, useful, right? But in this list, my Outriders are actually my home field objective holders. So they are spread out on my home field objective holders. I was agonizingly 5 points away from infiltrators. But the Outriders are fine in this detachment. They can also use that Wind Swift move, so if something comes in to try and kill them on the home field objective, I can just move away from it. And they do screen like a good amount of space. And they can move off the board, and maybe the scouts can replace them later. We also have the unit of scouts. Scouts score points. Again, scouts are not very durable. You want them to live. Again, potential for reactive move. I wouldn't really waste like Armor of Contempt on them or anything like that. But scouts come on and off the board. We know that. Guerrilla tactics, very strong rule. They also have a scout move at the start of the game, so if you're going first, you can maybe be a little bit more aggressive with them in the positioning of taking a side field objective or something like that. So lots you can do with the scouts. And then 2 more things to round out this list. Let me check I didn't miss anything. 2 more things to round out the list. The Vindicator tank. I mean, I actually haven't clicked the Hunter Killer Missile or the Stormbolter, but obviously you should take those. What's to say about a Vindicator tank, right? Like, they're just great. They're strength 14, they're AP 3. The other option that I actually had in my list before I had the Vindicator tank was I actually had a repulsor here, and I had the Centurions inside the repulsor. I think the Vindicator tank is better for what I'm trying to do, but I haven't quite got, like, I only played this list 3 times. So I'm trying to get probably 3 more reps, so that'll be 6 games, and then I'll take it to GT. Then maybe after that GT I'll do something completely different. I did talk about Mephiston plus Ironstorm. That is still on the cards, or maybe that is an option. Final squad is the Stern Guard, and boy oh boy are these guys broken, bonkers. I would just say in this detachment, they are hell of a strong. And the reason they are hell of a strong is we are going to arm every single guy with the Sternguard bolt rifle. So that's assault, rapid fire, devastating wounds. So I'm going to be putting these guys in reserve with Tigurius. The intent is to bring them on within 12 inches of an enemy unit that is Oath of Momented. So either, like, you have to pick your Oath of Moments with Guilliman. You pick a primary one and a secondary one. Whatever you think can definitely make the kill, you do that first, and then the second one moves over. So I usually pick something that the Hellblasters and the Stormraven can see, and obliterate it, and then the Sternguard come in from reserve, and they target another unit. They come in from 12. Someone was saying you could use Uriel Ventress to actually give the Sternguard unit deep strike. That would actually be really cool. I just, again, couldn't really fit them in the list. I mean, I could drop the Outriders in the enhancement and just have Uriel as he is holding my home field objective by himself, just to give the Sternguard deep strike rather than strategic reserve. I mean, that could be cool, but it does feel like my home field would be generally very unprotected. Mind you, I don't know how much I feel 3 Outriders protect the home field objective. There's an argument. You could do that, right? I'm still learning Ultramarines. I'm still practicing. But the point is, we're going to bring them in with 12. So we've got 8 guys with the bolt rifles. 8 guys with the bolt rifles, if we get rapid fire, is going to be 24 shots, right? We got 2 guys with the heavy bolters. That is going to be 6 shots. They also have devastating wounds. These guys don't have rapid fire, but they have 6 shots, right? So, the Sternguard special ability, when we target an Oath of Moment unit, reroll all hits and all wounds. Remember, we're in Ultramarines, so as well as reroll all hits and wounds, we're also +1 to hit, +1 to wound, right? So, I mean, that helps quite a lot when our weapons are only Strength 4 and Strength 5. But essentially, what this is doing, so for every 5 models, we can take the heavy bolter. Yes, any number of models can replace their bolt rifle with the combi weapon. We don't want to do that. And the sergeant can take a power fist, right? So he keeps his power weapon and his bolt rifle. So yes, 24 shots from the bolt rifles, 6 shots from the heavy bolters. We will pay our 1 CP, potentially, to give these guys Blistering Fuselage, which gives them sustained hits 1. So in the game that I just played this week, the Hellblasters died in turn 2. The opponent countered on them really hard. The Sternguard came in turn 3. We paid the Fuselage stratagem to give these guys sustained 1. I actually ended up with 42 successful hits. So this is a unit that has like 30 shots. So I rolled 12. I must have rolled 12 6s. I think I actually got a miss. So I must have rolled like 13 6s and a single miss, because I'm re-rolling all my hits as well, right? So I ended up with 42 shots out of these guys. So that's 42 shots. And this was what I was thinking at the time, right? Like, I was shooting Death Guard, what are they called? Death Shroud Terminators. Now, Death Shroud Terminators are a disaster for me when I play against them as Blood Angels, because every time I charge them, I don't kill enough of them. He -1s to wounds them or whatever. -1 damages them or whatever. And like, 4 wounds a model, I just cannot do the damage to them. I haven't been playing Dante plus 6 Sangre Guard recently. I was thinking maybe that would help a bit, like if I was running all 6 Sangre Guard and doing like Red Rampage and stuff. But I actually need to look into that, right? Like off the top of my head, Dante gets 39 attacks. Dante plus 6 Sangre Guard. We hit on 2s, so we drop like a 6th of them, so we get like 33. They are T7, so we wound them on 3s, right? So we get like 22 successful wounds. He would save them on 4s because the 4-ups, you only get 11 through. So if he plays the -1 damage strat on them, then we only actually kill 2 Death Shroud. And then we're countered, Dante and his unit is countered on by like a guy with a 3 damage flail and the remaining 4 Death Shroud. Like, that is bad news for Dante. So like, and Dante and his unit is 350, 360 points, is it? 240 plus, yeah, 360. So 360 points of Dante. I mean, I'm doing the math in my head very quickly. On an average day, if he pays the -1 to damage strat, which why would he not when we're all 2 damage? Like, it makes perfect sense. Yes, he has to pay some CP for that. But that's a horrific trade, right? We've literally killed 2 Death Shroud. That's like 45 points a model. Maybe they're 46 or something. So we don't even kill 100 points of models, and we probably lose most of the Sangre Guard on the fight back. Whereas this Stern Guard unit, they made 42 successful hits, right? I'm rolling 42. I actually had to split it up. It must have been 44 because I remember doing 22 and 22. I actually had to split it up. 22 dice. Every 6 is devastating, and then every 5 is a wound because a +1 to wound, and then reroll everything, right? And then another 22. Every 6 is devastating, every 5 is a wound, reroll everything. I think I did like 13, 14 devastating wounds, and then he maybe had to take like 10 saves. Unfortunately, he was in cover, but I mean the 13, 14 devastating wounds already significantly killed more. And I messed up. I forgot that when I was doing it this week, I actually forgot that 6 of the shots were 2 damage. So 6 of the shots would have done an extra point of damage. I don't know how many 6s I rolled. I just did them all. I basically just did it with everybody having a Stern Guard bolter as opposed to this. It was only the second time I shot them. I was like, oh shit, they've got heavy bolters. I should have been getting more damage. So I got 42 successful hits, of which like 14 or 15 were devastating wounds because of re-rolling everything. In that situation, you literally want to fish for 5s and 6s, right? So the heavy bolters would have wounded on 4s rather than 5s as well. So it actually made my roll doubly worse. Like I said, it's only the 3rd time I'm playing the Stern Guard. But this unit is really, really strong. And then afterwards, you get the 2d6 shots from Tigurius, and because he's with the Stern Guard, he is also probably shooting the Oath of Moment target, right? So he is rerolling all his hits, 2d6, hitting on 2s, strength 6 +1 to wound, and then he's rerolling all wounds as well because he's with the Stern Guard. So into something like Death Shroud, he's wounding on 4s, rerolling all wounds. So that's a 75% wound chance. I've actually rolled a friggin' 11 for the number. Not this week, but one of the weeks I played him, I rolled 11 for the number of shots, and I was like, oh my god, like this guy's 75 points. He's doing 11, strength 6, rerolling all hits, rerolling all wounds with +1 to wound, like for 75 points. It's not bad. I'll tell you that for nothing. It's not bad, especially when he gets those abilities to do the free stratagems as well. So this list has like very little footprint on the table, right? Like we do not have a lot of units, right? We've got the Stern Guard with Tigurius, that's 1, the Hellblaster Lieutenant, that's 2, the Combi Weapon Lieutenant, that's 3, Roboute, 4, the 2 Tech Marines, 6. In a way, the Tech Marines are kind of there to do actions and be lone operative, right? The Brutalis is 7, the Centurions are 8, the Outriders are 9, the Scouts are 10, the Stormraven is 11, the Vindicator is 12. So we don't have that many unique drops or units. Like so you would think scoring secondaries would be hard. The Tech Marines really help. The Lone Operative Lieutenant really helps because everything else just feels like it's very optimal in terms of damage output, right? And I think the things that people are going to want to kill, which is obviously the Stormraven dropping off that bomb of the Dreadnought and all the guys, is actually really, really difficult for them to kill. So, this is a list that I built myself. I had heard that Stormravens were very good in Stormlance, and I was trying to see where that landed. And I have, at the end of edition before, I was playing my Dreadnought, which has been retired now. He was called Roboute Guilliman. He was a Dreadnought that I converted with an old Firstborn Fist. He's a Custodes Dreadnought that was converted into a Guilliman model. Ironically, I bought the real Guilliman model this year because I was worried that this guy was like too small. This guy was actually a good bit bigger than Guilliman. So this was he's on the same size base, so this was the perfect proxy. So thank you to the channel member that sent me this Dreadnought. I don't know if he knew I was going to convert him into Guilliman, but I did. So I've actually bought the real Guilliman now, but last edition, at the end of the edition, Guilliman was really fun as well for Blood Angels because he gave all Space Marines within 12 a +1 to their charge, and if you remember last edition, Blood Angels already had +1 to their charge, so it stacked. So at the end of last edition, you got +2 to tall charges within 12 inches of Guilliman. If Guilliman's standing in the center of the map, 12 inches is this giant bubble. So it was like, oh, we've got 7-inch rerollable deep strike charges. That's pretty nice, right? Like Death Guard at the moment have the 6-inch rerollable deep strike charges, and it's bonkers. So yeah, so I played this against Death Guard against a list that I got kicked off the board by Death Guard. I think they beat me 80 points to 30 with my Liberator Assault Group list, and this list beat them. And I was trying to figure out why that was, and I think it's like threefold. Death Guard are a horrible matchup for Blood Angels at the moment. You basically need to be in melee to fight them. You don't want to be in melee because they make you -1 to your save and they make you -1 to your toughness. And they've got so much 3 damage weaponry as well. So Death Guard are just really, really difficult for us to deal with as Blood Angels. With this list, I'm able to do everything that I... Oh, and their toughness is so high as well, where like most of our wound rolls are going to be like 5s, and we only have one source of +1 to wound once per battle round. It's just not enough to deal with the fact that the lowest thing that Death Guard are going to have is like, even Plague Marines are toughness 6 now, right? So like chain swords from Assault Intercessors into Plague Marines is actually pretty bad. Like it's just what it is. This list was able to kite them, right? Like anytime you try to move in to charge me, I'm just going to use my reactive move. I'm going to move away. I'm going to jump back in a transport. I'm going to shoot them really, really effectively with basically Oath on 2 units with +1 to wound both turns. I've just talked about how many bonker shots I can get from the Stern Guard. We know Vindicator tanks are good. Hellblasters in this detachment are really, really good. Hell, even the Stormraven in this detachment is really, really good. Tigurius, attached to the Stern Guard, is really good as well. So it's just a lot of... yeah, it's different, right? And my understanding is the meta way that you play this is that you play the Stormraven Gunship with a Ballistus Dread inside it, and you use some of those other Storm Speeders to like strip cover or add extra AP, and because you've got the Ballistus Dread with the las cannons and the missiles, that's really good with +1 to wound from Oath as well. So that's the meta way to play Stormlance. I think... I like to be different. If you've watched the channel, you'll know that I always make weird, different lists. I don't conform to the meta. I don't really net list. Might take one idea. And I guess I've taken the Stormraven idea with the Dread inside it. But the Brutalis Dreadnought literally gets no play. I've had a Brutalis Dreadnought now. I got it in the Strike Force Augustus box. So God knows when Strike Force Augustus came out. I think that was last edition. It wasn't this edition. It was I think it was halfway through last edition. So I've had the Brutalis Dreadnought for 3 years and I've not played him. I've had the Hellblasters for 8 years and I've played them once. I love my Assault Centurions. I do love them in Liberator Assault Group. I find them hard to use in Liberator Assault Group because 4-inch movement every turn is really, really bad. Advance and Charge helps that quite a bit. You guys know I love Outriders. I've had my Stormraven Gunship like 20 years. In the entirety of watching my channel, how many times have we seen the Stormraven Gunship? I played it once in Blood Angels, and it was like, I can't play that again. And that was like 2 editions ago. So I've played it 3 times in the last like month, and it's been really, really fun. Ride hard, ride fast. What a stratagem. It's actually, like, it's kind of stupid how bad Armor of Contempt is now, and how good ride hard, ride fast is. It makes, like... That stratagem is like 10 times... I better not say this or they'll nerf it. That stratagem... I think when they made that change to Armor of Contempt, to make it only last for a single activation, like, did anyone actually think Armor of Contempt was too strong? Like, none of the Space Marine armies even have a 50% win rate. Stormlance actually has a 47% win rate. I just looked at it. Liberator Assault Group is actually higher. It's a 49% win rate. So if you're doing Liberator Assault Group, and you love Liberator Assault Group, and you want to keep doing Blood Angels, then by all means, and I'll still give you my feedback on Liberator Assault Group, I think I could probably pivot back and make a good Liberator Assault Group. My problem is in my meta, I'm playing against new World Eaters, and I'm playing against new Death Guard, and those lists are horrifically, they're horrifically good against Blood Angels. And I've been getting my ass kicked. And I wanted to change anyway after the Angelic Inheritors detachment. What's funny is after I quit Angelic Inheritors, I said I wasn't going to run a Vindicator tank again. And here's one back in the list. It's hard to argue with Strength 14 and like 9 fucking shots, isn't it? Like, it's just always useful. It's always durable. I think I prefer running 1 than 2, though, right? Like, if it doesn't, you know, if you get bad wound rolls with 1, or bad number of shot rolls with 1, it's not as big a deal, I feel like, as if you have 2 and you're rolling badly for both of them. So this is the Red Marines. You're probably going to see them on the channel over the next few weeks. No live game this week, but should be back to normal next week. I think I've got probably a couple of games of practice, and then I think I want to lose, right? Like, I actually want to lose a game, because I think that when you lose a game, you dive into your list a bit harder and try and figure out what went wrong, right? Like, going back to the summer previous, when I won the GT with Blood Angels, and it would be so sweet if I could win another GT. It would be even sweeter if I could win it with Ultramarines, because then that would be an amazing video to have on my channel, and you guys would never be able to, you know, you wouldn't be able to make fun of me now that I've won GT with... I mean, people make fun of me that I won a GT with Blood Angels. You wouldn't be able to fun with me if I've won it with 2 armies, right? But before I won that GT, I actually was... Again, I was playing against bloody Death Guard. Colin and his Death Guard. Colin is a good Death Guard player, and sometimes you need good players to elevate you, right? And one of the things that Colin kept bringing was, like, it was Death Shroud Terminators in 9th edition when they only had 3 wounds. And the thing that I found that dealt with Death Shroud Terminators last edition really well was Predator Destructors. And Predator Destructors did get a decent run in the meta for a while after that, because they had AP2 against infantry and they had flat 3 damage. And flat 3 damage was perfect for dealing with big blobs of Death Shroud Terminators. And because I kept getting beat, I ended up just going, fuck it, I'm taking 2 Predator Destructors, even though no one was taking them. I'm like, I like them, because if I Oath of Moment is Terminators, and shoot both Destructors at them from, like, 24 inches away to get the rapid fire, his Terminators only move 4 inches, take them a while to get me if I'm 24 inches away, I will basically be able to kill 2 or 3 from each Predator. So if I get a unit of Terminators and I Oath of Moment them, I can kill, like, 4 or 5 of them, and then if I kill 4 or 5 of them, I'm not too worried about charging them, right? So that was kind of, like, Colin beating me repeatedly forced me to make that change that forced me to improve my list, which in turn actually won me the GT. So I've got a couple of interesting games. I've got someone coming to play on the channel that hasn't played for a while. So hopefully I get a couple of interesting games in the next month. Hopefully we lose one. I mean, I'm not trying to lose, but hopefully we lose one. Maybe there's a tweak that I can see, and then we'll take Stormlance. What gives me some hope is one of the best players, someone, in fact, Garen, who I played at the final of the GT that I won last year. He actually just took Stormlance to the Brewhammer event and went 4-1. So 4-1, if you've never done 4-1 in an event, it's fucking hard to get 4-1. It's just a hard thing to do, right? Like, I haven't done a 4-1 in, like, I think like the last 5 GTs. I've done 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, and then the win, right? So maybe this is time for me to go 4-1 again, but to go 4-1 is bloody hard. You'll play at least 2 or 3 really good players. So maybe to lose one game to see if there's an improvement here. There is some improvements we could make, right? Like the other option could be to remove one of the Tech Marines and add the Apothecary to the Hellblasters, so we can bring some Hellblasters back to life. That's a cool idea, but it does remove one of my action units, and I am conscious that I don't have very many action units. Another option is to remove the lethal hits from the Hellblasters and give the Librarian there. Librarian does give them a Feel No Pain against Psychic as well, but is it Psychic? Librarian... he gives them a Feel No Pain against Psychic, yeah, and he gives them a 4-up invuln save, and you can put the enhancement on him to give them the same fallback and shoot. The 4-up invuln, yeah, I can see why you would do it. I guess the thing is, if you use the Librarian, you wouldn't be able to attach the Apothecary, because the Apothecary specifically says he can only be attached to lieutenants. Better get this right. Yeah, captains or lieutenants. So if you attach the Librarian, you wouldn't be able to bring the Apothecary, but with the Lieutenant, you can bring the Apothecary. So maybe there's an interesting thing there, right? Like, if you can bring back a Hellblaster to life, there's probably quite a lot of value in that. They are one of the MVP units in this list. But yeah, so that is Red Marines, or Red Ultramarines, because all my guys are still painted red. I'm using all my Blood Angels models. I'm enjoying using a bunch of Blood Angels models that I haven't been able to use. Haven't been able to use the Brutalis, the Hellblasters, the Sternguard, the Stormraven. So half the list is like models that I've had for, like I said, multiple years that I just haven't been able to use in Blood Angels. So it's a nice change for me. It feels like those models deserve it after sitting on a shelf for so long. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. If you want to try Stormlance, then there's some pretty interesting combos in there. This might not be the perfect list. There's probably something stronger out there. I worry that my friend Garen that I just mentioned actually has a stronger list, but I don't really want to copy, right? And I made this, and maybe that's stupid. Maybe I should just copy. But sometimes I feel like if you just practice, that can be enough. So this is what I'm playing. This is what I'm practicing. Check it out on the channel. Every Wednesday night we have a battle report. Thanks so much for watching. This has been a 50-minute rant about how good Ultramarines are. So I will see all you guys next week. I feel like I should make a joke about being the Ultramarines commander, because if I don't do it, you're going to do it in chat anyway, aren't you? So in before somebody says it in chat, welcome Ultramarines commander. Yeah, I'm here. I'm enjoying life. I'm playing Ultras. Who knows what I'll play after? Like I said, Iron Storm. I think I'm at the point with this edition where I'm playing quirky shit. There's nothing to say I might not still do a tournament where I go super serious on Liberator Assault Group again. But I'm taking at least like a month to play quirky stuff. Is it quirky or is it just strong? I think originally I decided I was going to do Mephiston plus Iron Storm because it was quirky. And then I played Stormlance and it was like, my god, this is strong. And maybe it just fits what I like to do. So, okay. That's the end of the video. I'll see you next time. Don't unsubscribe because I'm making Ultramarines content. I'd appreciate it. Take care, guys. Thanks so much. Peace.